Hey, it is Xennial Gamer, and we are here with another Labyrinth video. Today we're going to be looking at Kotos. Now I want to start this video with a disclaimer. The Guilles video I did, Guilles is the easiest boss in Labyrinth by a mile. Kotos is going to be a little bit more challenging. So most of the monsters in this team can be replaced with other options. Generally free-to-play options. A lot of 2A monsters would allow you to replace them. However, you're probably going to need a really high rune requirement to replace them if you want to do Hell mode. Now, I think a version of this team will work on hard mode. If you're mid-game, you won't need crazy runes for hard mode, and you won't need, like, specifically to have Brandia. You won't need specifically to have Wusa, because those are both, you know, premium nat 5s. On hard mode, I would assume you could not. I'm sure you could replace Wusa with Fran, and you could replace Brandia with. I was gonna say Naomi, but Naomi would have attribute disadvantage. So, who would be a good water damage dealer that scales? I think Gang Chun. This dude right here. He's a 3-star. But his passive scales damage based on the number of enemy effects. So the key with any boss stage is always finding monsters that scale damage to enemy negative effects. So I would want to stay with something that allowed me that attribute advantage or neutrality, which makes Brandia perfect for this stage. Crow gives you element neutrality. The Gang Chun that I just mentioned, he's not runed, so I can't demo him. But all of those types of monsters, anything that's going to be either... Basically, anything that's not wind and that's going to scale damage to enemy negative effects. If your runes are so-so, you'll still be able to do hard mode. And then if your runes are really good, you'll probably be able to do hell mode. So I'm going to show you my team here. This team is probably still not about 100%. There's a little bit of RNG in there that can mess me up, mostly on the waves because my crow is too squishy. And I don't have, because I'm multiple attributes here, I don't have a way to control where all the damage goes on the waves. So if the crow happens to die early, or if the Brandia happens to die early, then it can really mess me up. We're actually going to use him. I just re-runed these guys, which is why I'm moving him in. He's also got revenge runes, which, so he's will shield revenge, so that gives a chance for an extra defense break as well. And so the basic concept behind this team, I think it's pretty straightforward. We're using Crow and Brandia because they're the two biggest damage dealers in the game when they scale to negative effects. Brandia is going to give me glancing and attack down. Crow is going to give me brand, and then Crow and Galleon give me defense break. So I don't have as many negative effects as I would like, but I do have enough to kill off the boss. And then we're using Wusa for immunity. So I'll go ahead and walk you through how this particular team runs, and then... So on these waves, you always want to kill off these side monsters because they can do they can cause the most problems basically. I'm not sure if this stage they defense break or stun, but they usually are the ones that cause the most problems, and they're also usually the squishiest and easiest to kill. So the idea here is if we're able to kill these off, then yeah, there you go. There's the defense break. So these do defense break. We're actually, because we're not looking too good right now, we are going to go ahead and just nuke this one out as well. And we'll let the crow cooldown come back on its own. Fortunately, these are all fire monsters, so they're not going after Wusa. We're going to reduce this attack bar. And so, as you can see right now, this team is really not built well for these waves, and that's where I said there's some RNG. So I can fail on these waves. We'll call it a 50-50 team. Sometimes I might go successfully 3 times in a row, but sometimes I might fail 3 times in a row. So it's about a 50-50 team. As long as we get through the waves without too much trouble, and very importantly, as long as we manage our cooldowns in the waves, we're good. Now, this next wave is very tricky. Because I just said as long as we manage our cooldowns, you need to make sure that Galleon's time to loot and that Wusa's wish of immortality, yeah, wish for immunity, that's what it is, are both ready. So we need to kill this wave a little bit slower, basically. So we're going to go ahead and use both of these skills, but I'm not going to use the belager stacks. Basically, I'm going to come through here in manual to make sure that all of my cooldowns are set. We'll go ahead and use our team up because that turn cycled Wusa a little bit. And we will go ahead and get our heal. And We're going to come over to this guy because we want to make sure we don't accidentally kill anything. Okay, so Wusa is now good. And I will just need, I think, to turn cycle one more time with Galleon. So now we can go ahead and kill. Wusa's cooldown is reset. Galleon should be good. Yeah, Galleon is good. So now we can go ahead and use those Belager stacks. But first we're going to heal up our Crow. Okay, now the last part of RNG for this level is Galleon's time to loot. He is max accuracy, but there is still a resistance check here. So I need him to defense break all three of these. He must defense break both of the side crystals and the boss, and as long as he does, we should be good. So now we're going to go ahead and brand the boss, and we're going to kill these side crystals. Oh, we didn't get the crystals! Brandia did not get the crystals. And that means we got to hold the Belager stacks, which is not good because we're going to be burning through immunity. So at this point, we are praying for a Wusa proc in here somewhere. We're going to hold the skill 3 there as well. And okay, so our biggest concern right now is that will rune. Let's go ahead and get these side crystals. We got our proc. Okay, we are good. Now we're good and we'll be able to pass right through the stage. We'll go ahead and eventually that will die. And since we've got all our immunity, we got the little Galleon revenge there, but he didn't get the defense break. So as soon as I get my defense break, I can unload the Belager stacks. We're going to hold our time to loot because as soon as the boss goes under 50%, those crystals come back. We'll go ahead and put the brand up though. And let's see here. We will go ahead and just take out this rage crystal right now. No, we won't take out this rage crystal, but now this will take them all out. And we'll get our wish for immortality back up again. This pushes the boss below 25%, so now I can actually just go straight at the boss and finish him out. Put on some glancing for a little bit of safety. And you get the idea of how this team works. So similar to the Guilles team, as long as... So in the case of Guilles team, it's about managing the side crystals. It's about making sure that you kill the rage, you kill the will, you kill the shield. With this one, it's about making sure that you keep immunity up and also kill those side crystals when you can. Even if it means taking a little bit of a longer fight and taking a little bit more time, you can see that because I had my immunity up the entire time, the boss really couldn't do anything to me. I was able to bring in some nukers. Now, to that team composition, and it's not going to let me go back in, is it? But I can look in here. So, to the team composition, again, basically what I had in there was 2 huge damage scaling nukers, and then I had the Belager. And notice that I'm using the Galleon speed lead and not the Belager attack lead, and that has to do with the waves. That has to do with making sure that I survive the waves. Because if I were to use the Belager attack lead, then too many of the wave monsters would act before my team and I would die. So there you go, that is my Kotos HELL team, and now let's go scroll through the monster collection and take a look at what some of the alternatives to Brandia and... Well, everybody should have Crow. Everybody should have Crow. If you're looking at this video, you should absolutely have Crow, Galleon, and Belager. So, and then the replacement for Wusa is straightforward. It's Fran. You could use Chloe instead. You could also use Amelia, by the way. Amelia's not quite as good, but she will probably work most of the time, especially if you're doing hard mode. Amelia would be fine for hard mode. But, so let's go look at some alternatives for the Brandia. For those of you who are not familiar with the monster collection, by the way, let me just turn off the camera for a second. This collection button right here in the bottom right is a really, really useful tool. When you're looking for something, a lot of times we know all the monsters, but still to remember the specifics of 1,000 monsters, it's easy to forget one monster does something specific. So you go into the monster collection and you hit this search button. And you can scroll through all the different stuff you want. So, for example, I am looking for damage % to harmful effects, because what I want to see is somebody that scales to negative effects. So I hit search, and right here it pops up the Fire Magical Archer, who I've never even looked at before, to be honest. And her third skill increases by 15%. Knowing how hard the Wind Magical Archer hits, the Fire Magical Archer probably hits fairly good, even with that only 15%. Here's the Gang Chung I mentioned. Here's the Water Magical, also 15%. The Gang Chung is, I believe, 20%. No, he's also 15, because they're all 3 stars. But here's the monster I was forgetting about. And this is a monster many of you will have built from the old raids. It's Xiaolin. Completely forgot about Xiaolin. So she's going to scale by 25% because she's got 4 random attacks. Like if you saw in that fight with Belager, I couldn't quite line up to get a full boss hit, so I wound up using his scattered attacks to kill the side pillars instead of the boss. Xiaolin is going to give you that same effect. So if you can line her up when the side crystals are dead, then you're going to hammer the boss. And if you can't, then she's going to clear the side crystals and keep you safe. So she's a perfect fit for this stage, to be honest. She might actually even be a better fit than Crow, especially if you have her on an old vampire build, if you haven't re-ruined her since you've moved to your BJ team. So anyway, I won't go through all of these, but I did want to just point out that you can search in here, look at which monsters are going to scale to those negative effects, and find your replacement if you don't have Brandia. Keep in mind that water is going to be the best attribute for Kotos, but fire, light, and dark all work. Just make sure it's not wind. So that's today's video. It's a shorter one. I hope you guys find this useful, and I wish you the best in your fight against Kotos. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, please pop that subscribe button over on the left. It shows me that you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, it shows me that you found the information useful and hopefully it helped you in your gameplay. So here's the deal. You pop subscribe and I'll keep popping out content. Thanks guys.